Hello, my name is Nathan Kieffer, and this is my research post on prions and the diseases they cause. Starting with number one, the introduction, we can see that prions are described as abnormal pathogenic agents. And so what does that mean? Pretty much means that they are able to transfer their abnormal characteristics to healthy proteins, thus resulting in the protein turning into a prion. So it's kind of like a domino effect where one disease prion affects a healthy protein, and then that goes on and on and on. You can see the difference in a protein and a prion in figure one down at the bottom left. On the left is a healthy protein, and on the right is a prion. You can see that they do look pretty similar, but their differences are actually pretty important in the human body. Most common types of mammals to have these prions are cattle, elk, deer, and humans are also actually at risk of getting prions. A few prion diseases are infectious, but all are actually fatal. Looking at my objectives, one of them is to look at the diseases caused by prions. Number two is to look at how prions affect the brain. And number three is to talk about the future of prions and how they could impact the world. Looking at number three, the four diseases I put down, I put them in no order. These are mainly the four most common ones. Number one is Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, also known as CJD. It is a neurodegenerative disorder, and pretty much all that means is that the human body, such as the brain and liver, kind of decompose of itself over time. The disease progresses rapidly and is always fatal. And humans between the ages of 45 and 77 usually get this, and they usually get it through it being sporadic, which just means they get it out of nowhere one day. It can be inherited, and it can also be gotten through contamination through human liquids. The second one I put down is chronic wasting disease, also known as CWD. This affects the Cervidae family, such as deer, elk. It causes them to experience drastic weight loss, stumbling, and other neurologic symptoms. Like I said, elk, deer, moose get affected by it, and they can get it through bodily fluids and also environmental contamination, such as if a contaminated deer drank some water through a river and another deer drank, they could get it. Third one I put down is fatal familial insomnia. It is a genetic degenerative brain disorder, and it also causes them to lose a lot of sleep. And it also has similar symptoms of CJD. Humans, again, but the age range is a lot larger. It can be anyone from a teenager to anyone in their 70s. And it is mainly obtained through just being born, getting the genes with it. And the last one I put down was Kuru, which is the most rare out of all of them. It is a disease caused by contaminated human brain tissue. So cannibalism in this case is how you get it. And it's any human, and there's not really age range because it comes from that human brain, and it is transmitted through, like I said, eating that brain tissue, or it can be in direct contact of Kuru. So if someone has Kuru and they like somehow get into a cut of someone else, that person could get it as well. Number four, I want to look at how the brain is affected from prions. So prions start to fold abnormally, thus they clump in the brain and cause brain damage. And if we look at figure two, we can see that the brain begins to look sponge-like. It has many small holes from like, the prions, and also what looks like a bunch of white spots all throughout the brain, again, just because of the prions. And this picture is actually what CJD looks like, again, Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. Now, looking at number five, the analysis. Throughout the research, there have been a few main ideas that were collected, and number one was that prions were responsible for a handful of very fatal diseases. I mean, every one is fatal, and I mean, there's no cure for any of it either, which makes it really scary for anyone who would ever get that. Number two, prions affect the brain like no other type of molecule, and I mean that as a protein, because most molecules like that aren't strong enough to take someone out. But these prions are so strong that they can just absolutely wipe out people, and it's very, very crazy how something so small could do that. Number three, There, like I said, in number one, there are actually no cures to spread to stop the spread of prions, which means that there's no cure for any of the diseases. And lastly, I think it's fair to say that these prions are actually a big threat to mammals. Although they don't spread rapidly or quickly, who's to say that it won't change one day? I mean, we never thought that anything like COVID would happen here, but it has, and it spread really rapidly and came out of nowhere. And I mean, I guess we really don't know if these prions could ever spread like that, which makes you wonder. And that brings me to number 6, what should happen next. And this is just my conclusion on what I think should happen next in this like field of research. I think that there should be more funding into prion research because I don't think there's enough known about it. And like I said, because there's no cure for it, I think it's really something that we should take more serious because, like I said, who knows if like we don't get a prion disease that's like our next COVID. And my second one was to try and more thoroughly understand what prions are because throughout my research, I kind of ran into a lot of blanks about things. And I think that's just because of a lack of research into it. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but that's just what I found from all my research. And lastly, I think that prions are, I think they are actually a potential threat, which is why I said we should put more funding into it, why we should try and understand it more. Just because we don't know what its future is. I mean, I know I said it twice, but who's to say that it won't turn into a new, just rapid disease spreading everywhere? That's just why I think it's something that should get a lot more attention. I don't think enough people know about it because whenever I told a few of my friends about it, they had no clue what a prion was, and even me, I had no clue what it was until I began my research. So, thank you for listening to my presentation. I hope you learned something about prions and the diseases that are caused by them. And thank you for listening.